we got so many different anecdotes out there, Marcus. It's almost hilarious what's going on. And I've got a joke. I think before long, we're going to have 150 million cases in New York City. That's the trajectory that we're heading toward for corona cases in New York City, 150 million. That's my expectation. You think people will wake up in Podunk, Illinois, if they see that? Wow, that's a lot of cases. We need to shut everything down. At some point, there's going to be a duh. This is medical data fraud. We have citizen reporters who have gone around. Oh gosh, I saw the list. It's about 6 US cities. I heard Toronto, I heard London, I heard Amsterdam, I heard Berlin, Germany. And they're going into major hospitals looking for corona cases and they can't find any. Okay, well, sounds like fraud to me. They also report that the emergency medical teams are sitting around and the ambulances are idle and the staff is basically doing what the police do around here, read their text messages. Okay, so the fraud is everywhere. We got stories of nurses being fired for reporting that their hospitals are empty. Now, I got one story from a weird source, a weird angle. It's an old college roommate, and we've gone our separate ways because of the Iraq War. I called him a stinking Nazi over the Iraq War, and many of the claims that I made came true. Oh no, all of them came true. I kept up with his son. We've gone our different ways, and you know, when it comes to Ohio State football, there are no barriers. So we talk about Ohio State football. I hope there's a season this year. That's a great criterion for opening up. Will the NFL open it up? Anyway, his son, Joe, was talking to me last week and he said, Jim, I got a story. You find this interesting, because we had gone on for half an hour about the fraud of all the stories and the data. He said, I know a nurse and she's a friend of mine. I know her from church. And she was telling me that back in February, the hospital officials said, let's clear the beds for all non-essential cases, you know, like a serious ankle injury, you know, something like that. Let him be an outpatient. Okay, you got someone with an, you know, retinal issue for his eye. Okay, let him be an outpatient. So they cleared the beds and now they're laying off people because they're empty. Yeah. The hospitals are empty. This is like a big backfire. I hope they go bankrupt, these hospitals that are part of the fraud. Now you got some stories out of New York City where they're lethally injecting some corona patients to make sure they got some real good deaths. It's getting out of control. Okay.
And Jim, another thing I know you mentioned before that came out recently is that camera that was left on in the White House with where the mic was going. And again, to be clear, one guy said he didn't think it was a hoax, but what I found interesting was, he's like, hey, buddy, the one guy's looking for his mask. He's like, nah, you don't need to worry about that. Don't put it on. It's only 0.1%.
What's up, Johnny?
All right, man.
What do you know, babe?
You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate's like 0.1 to 0.3 according to USC.
Is it really? That's reassuring.
USC.
Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway.
USC and LA County Public Health come out with a study. They found that there are 7,000 cases in California, but they really believe that there are anywhere from 221,000 to 442,000 people who were infected.
Really?
Yeah.
And so that makes it 0.1 to 0.3? Does the study to come out by today?
Yeah, just came out today. So it suggests that the case fatality rate is about 10. It seems.
Wow.
Which puts you right in line with the flu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
So it was a hoax.
I don't think it was a hoax.
I took notes. I watched that twice. I took notes and I went back to a certain point to get some actual information. The The fellow who looked like he was part of the staff as opposed to media, like the White House staff, he said, "No, you don't need that mask." And kind of shoved it on. Come on, get real. And then, without the mic being on really loud, that doesn't sound right. Without having his voice directed immediately toward the mic, in other words, it was a little bit muffled and a little bit distant. So I listened to it a couple times, 3 times. What he said was the University of Southern California, which is a private top-notch institution, did a study on something like 300,000 cases. And they determined that the fatality rate was 0.1%, which is less than standard flu. But we're shutting down the global economy because we've got something that's less deadly than standard flu. This is moronic. It's sabotage. Okay, let's get to some percentages here. Fauci is in trouble. He's the, what do you call it, director of infectious diseases and something or other. And allergies, yeah, allergies. Okay, I suffer from allergies, but I deal with it. It's tree pollen. I sneezed a few times recently, a day, and I was worried, oh gee, I got corona. It went away. How pathetic. But Fauci is in trouble. Let me get to Fauci's deeper trouble in a minute. First, let's get on the record what he did. We're hearing more and more that he authorized like a $3 billion, was it billion or million? I can't remember, million. $3 million. When it involves the whole population, it's billion. When it's in focus, it's million. Okay, that's how I try to keep it straight. He authorized a $3 million grant to Wuhan to do, what do they call it? Additive function. In other words, to do splicing, to do new and improved SARS virus. And how people think that this is a naturally occurring, naturally evolving, and naturally mutating virus. Damn, I think you're so wrong. It's not even funny. So wrong that it makes me question your integrity. Okay, so Obama and Fauci were involved with this contract with Wuhan, which appeared to be for improving upon SARS for some future agenda, like this. Okay, let's get back to what Fauci did.
So that is part of what Jim Willie had to say about the coronavirus. For the rest of that whole first part of the interview, tune in tonight where we will be broadcasting part 1 of the interview with Jim Willie. The whole thing is 2 parts, so the next 2 nights, full thing will be posted. And again, if you enjoyed this, I think you're going to want to stay tuned. So hit that subscription button and the notification bell, and I will see you tonight.